Hello everyone, welcome to IASBABA's 60 days rapid revision series for Prelims 2022. This is day 51 and we take up art and culture and history topics. So these are the topics which we discuss and most of them are in current affairs. And before going to that, we will take up the guessworks. Which of the following are detritivores? So here we have earthworms, jellyfish, seahorse and woodlice. So earthworms, but obvious we know that they are detritivores. So they will always live in the dead and decayed particles of the soil. But here the luck didn't favor. That is, one is present in A, C, and D options. And then come for the lice. So lice, friends, you know that they will survive on the human beings and the animal's body. So wood lice, but obvious, they might be detritivores. So here again, 4 is present in 3 options. And now we have to search for the jellyfish and seahorse. Friends, if you have seen seahorse, so like it will always survive in a fresh water. So you cannot see a seahorse in a dirty water. So that means seahorse, most probably it will not eat the dead and decayed particles. It will eat only the living organisms. So if you have such a crude thought process, so that is more than sufficient. So we can go ahead with the 1, 2 and 4 as the answer. We can exclude seahorse here and here again. So that amount of luck matters. That is whether you have seen the photograph of a seahorse or not. So again, it is a moderate to difficult question. So either you can attempt likewise or even if you leave the question, there is no issues as such. Then come to next. Under the Indian Constitution, concentration of wealth violates. So the directive principles, this question is a child's play and nothing special in this. And then what is the position of the right to property in India? So we know that right to property is a constitutional right. So it is not a fundamental right now. And here friends, we have discussed this already. So it will be a legal right and it is available to any person. So here it is like, don't confuse that a constitutional right is not a legal right. Always a constitutional right is a legal right. So remember those concentric circles. First comes the fundamental rights and then comes the constitutional rights and then comes the legal rights. And here within these fundamental rights, we will have a small circle that is fundamental rights which are specific only for the citizens. So remember in the form of a syllogism and whichever is a constitutional right shall be a legal right as per this logic. And here a legal right with any person will be the answer. So again, not so difficult one. Then what was the exact constitutional status of India on 26 January 1950? So it is sovereign democratic republic. Again, an easy question. Then the constitutional government means, so it is a limited government. So the word limited speaks volumes here. And then with reference to India, the term Halbi, Ho and Kui pertains to. So friends, here we have the Ho rebellion in Spectrum book. So if at all you have read the Spectrum book at least once, you can remember that and you can go for the tribal language D as the answer. So that is what UPSC demands, friends. So whenever you read a basic book, so your observation, how you give the importance, how you retain the things, so those matter. And it is not the cut, copy, paste. So somewhere if you have remembered something, so you will bring that and you will think inside the exam hall in that perspective and mark the answer. So make sure that you will keep your eyes and ears open whenever you study every book. So it is immaterial of how much you study and it all matters is how you study. So do it. Then we come to the topics. First one, megalithic jars of Assam. So these jars were associated with mortuary rituals. So like the burying of the dead people and the rituals that are performed during those times. And here we can see how these jars are being placed here beautifully. And then they are the ancestral bone repositories of the tribes like Mikir, then Sakchips, then Hankals, and Kuki and Kazi, and Sinteng tribes. So here again it is like these are the bones, might be the asthis, what we say in Sanskrit. And we have one more specialty of this, that is, these are typologically similar to those jars that are present in Indonesia, Laos. So that is, there is a cultural connectivity between the Assam tribes and the tribes that were living in Indonesia and Laos during that time. So a geographical and cultural connect we can have here. And then this points to the fact that once upon a time, a group of people having similar kind of cultural practice occupied the Laos as well as Northeast India. And the jars of Assam were first cited by the British civil servant, that is James Mills and John Henry Hutton. And they recorded their presence in 6 sites in Dima Hasao. So mark this Dima Hasao place and take a look at the jars again. Then come to next, Kalinga to Parani. It is a 12th century Tamil poem and a war song by Jayam Kundar. And it contains celebration of the victory of Kulotunga Chola I over Kalinga king Anantavarman Chodaganga. It is a Chola versus Kalinga war, and Parani is a type of literature that is written on a king who kills 1,000 elephants in a war. So friends, Parani, it might be a drama or a story. Pana means movie in Tamil language. So as and when you come across various words, so give importance to the meaning of them. So that will give you hints in prelims. So Kalinga to Parani means, so Kalinga to, so Kalinga's Parani. So the story related to Kalinga kings. So that way you analyze that. Then Kalinga to Parani depicts the Chola invasion of Kalinga under the command of Karunakara Tondaiman, where 1,000 elephants were slain. So remember Kalinga to Parani, the book, and also the meaning of that. A reconnaissance survey in the sea off the coast of Karkai in Thoothukudi district, which finds mention in Sangam literature, was undertaken. So a survey was undertaken in the historical place Karkai, and this is present very nearer to Thoothukudi. And this is also present in Sangam literature. And more about Karkai, it is a small village in Sri Vaikuntham Taluk of Thoothukudi district in Tamil Nadu. It was called Pandya Kavada in Kapathapuram in Kalitogai. So in ancient times, it was called Pandya Kavada. That means a place of Pandyas. And the Tahsil's name was Kapathapuram and the district was Kalitogai. So we can link Kalitogai with Thoothukudi. So the district might be same. The names have been changed over the period of time. And it is situated about 3 kilometers north of Tamirabarani River, about 6 kilometers from the shore of Bay of Bengal. So it is 3 kilometers far away from Tamirabarani River. We have already discussed this river, friends, in the previous classes. Then Korkai was the capital and the principal center of trade and important port of the early Pandyan kingdom. We have discussed this earlier when we discussed about Pandya Kavada. So it is the place where Pandyans ruled. And at that time, it was located on the very bank of Tamirabarani River. So now we have discussed it is 3 kilometers far, but earlier it was on the very bank. That means due to excessive sedimentation, the sea has receded about 6 kilometers in the past, over 2000 years, and leaving the Korkai well inland today. So that means what was on the bank, now it has been shifted away from the bank because of sedimentation over the river. So remember the geography and history. So UPSC is very fond of those topics where 2 to 3 concepts are clubbed. We got a question like, on which river gorge Ajanta Ellora temples are situated? So for such questions, we need to prepare in our study table itself. Then Bhaskarabda. Bhaskarabda was an era counted from the date of the ascension of 7th century local ruler Bhaskar Varman. And this era will be added to the Saka and Gregorian calendars. So friends, now it is already present in the Assamese calendar, and this era is again added to the Saka and Gregorian calendar now. And more about Bhaskarabda. So that began when Bhaskar Varman was crowned as the ruler of Kamrupa kingdom, and he was a contemporary and the political ally of Harshavardhana. So here remember the contemporary ones, and also like the Varman word. So that will arise only in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, or in the Assam West Bengal region. And then more about Bhaskarabda. So unlike Gregorian calendar, where the day starts at the midnight, so we know that in the 12 a.m. in the midnight the day starts. The Assamese calendar begins and ends at the sunrise over 24 hours. So morning 6, so the day starts for Assamese calendar. Then while the Gregorian calendar goes with the solar cycle, the Saka and Bhaskarabda use luni-solar system based on both phases of the moon and the solar year. So it is like the months and weeks. So they are tracked as per the movement of moon, but the day starts from the rise of the sun. So that is why the name luni-solar system. Then the gap between Bhaskarabda and Gregorian is the 593 years. So friends, there was a question in 2014-15. So what is the difference between the Saka era, Kushana era, and then the Gregorian calendar? So all these. So just have a brief revision of them. So this is all about Bhaskarabda. Then come to next, the Katil Madam temple. So it is a dilapidated shrine in the Palakkad district of Kerala. So remember Palakkad, Kalakkad, etc. So Kad means forest and Palakkad means milky forest. So might be the whitey snow. So that gives the name the milky forest. And Kalakkad means black forest. And it is thought to be a giant temple built around 9th or 10th century AD and is situated on the Pittambi Guruvayur road. So not so important for us. Then architecture is of Dravidian style with Chola and Pandya influence. And historic structure is carved out of granite stone. So mark this granite stone as important one. And Hoysalas carved out their sculptures in the soapstone. And then stone monuments made without mortar, brick or wood were an experiment made by the 6th century Pallava ruler Mahendra Varman. So the Pallava kings, they never used the brick and mortar, etc. All those temples they built. So it was only made up of the carving of the stone. So single rock was cut into the form of temple. So likewise. And then come to next, the Qutub complex. So friends, Qutub complex means the place around the Qutub Minar. So there are 4 to 5 other monuments apart from Qutub Minar. So that is the whole complex thing. So this has a 5-storied sandstone tower built by the Muslim conquerors. So Qutubuddin Aibak and others in the name of Qutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. So this monument was built in the 13th century to commemorate their final triumph over Rajput rulers of Delhi, and it includes the Quwwatul Islam Mosque. So the very nearby there is a mosque, and the 7-meter high iron pillar stands in the courtyard of this mosque, and its surrounding contains Alai Darwaza Gate, and this is a masterpiece of Indo-Muslim art. So mark this confluence of Indo-Muslim art. So here in the Qutub complex, remember Qutub Minar and then Quwwatul Islam Mosque and the Alai Darwaza. Then the building process of Qutub Minar took about 75 years. So it included some 2 to 3 rulers, and its construction was started by Qutubuddin Aibak in 1193 and it was finished by Iltutmish. And in 1368 it was repaired by Muhammad bin Tughlaq and Firoz Shah Tughlaq. And the minar or the tower is engraved with fine arabesque decorations on its surface. And these decorations were mainly from the verses of Quran. So here we can see the arabesque decorations. And then the monuments were declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1993. So the date is not important. So its designation as the UNESCO World Heritage Site is more than enough for us. And then the Sabz Burj. So Sabz Burj is an octagonal tomb situated besides the Humayun's tomb in New Delhi. And the tomb was built in 1530. And it is of immense significance due to the ceiling on its double dome structure painted in pure gold and lapis. So here we can see that it has a dome and it is painted in the gold and lapis in these areas. And then the construction was influenced by the Central Asian architecture, which consists of alternating wide and narrow sides. That is, the entrances have been built into the wider sides, while the narrower sides are ornamented in the pattern of incised plaster, paint, or glazed tiles. So here we can see one is the narrower side and the other is the wider side. So this wider side forms the entrances and the narrower sides, they form just the decorations. And it is thought to be the earliest surviving painted ceiling for any monument in India. So this is the first ceiling that is being painted. So here we can see, and even inside the ceiling might be painted. So remember Sabz Burj or the green dome. Then come to next, Martand Sun Temple. Martand Sun Temple, also known as Pondo Laidan, is a Hindu temple dedicated to Surya and built during 8th century AD. And Martand is another Sanskrit synonym of Surya. So we know that Surya, Soma, so all these are the synonyms, and it is now in ruins as it was destroyed by the Sikandar Shah Miri, and it is located 5 miles from Anantnag. So that means Martand Sun Temple is present in Jammu and Kashmir. And then Martand Sun Temple was built by the third ruler of Karkota dynasty, that is Lalitaditya Muktapida. So friends, in 2017 prelims, there were questions related to the Sun Temples. So here remember Martand Sun Temple and the Jammu Kashmir and the Anantnag, and then Lalitaditya Muktapida and the name Pondu Laidan or Pondu Laidan. Then come to next, Odissi dance. According to the historians, Odra Magadhi style of dance is a precursor of 20th century Odissi, which is mentioned in Bharata's Natya Shastra. So it is like the Odra Magadhi was the previous version of the current day Odissi, and it is one of the 8 classical dance forms of India, and it is celebrated around the world for its lyricism, sensuality, and emphasis on Bhakti Bhava. So it is like the emotions, devotions, and then Navarasas. So all these are being expressed with the eye expressions, then with the body postures, and with the hand gestures. And this dance form includes the themes from Vaishnavism and others associated with Hindu gods and goddesses like Shiva, Surya, and Shakti. So we know that almost all dance forms, they embed within themselves the epics and mythologies, Puranas, etc. Then an Odissi orchestra essentially consists of the Pakavaj or the drums, then the players who play them, and including the Guru himself. So that means the lead player, then a singer, then the flutist will be there, and sitar or violin will be there, and manjira or cymbals will be there. So in 2017 prelims, there was one question about Manipuri Sankirtana. So it had a statement like they use the drums only. So that only word stands to be extreme because there is no dance form or an art form which uses only one instrument. So if at all there is one more instrument, the statement stands to be false. Then the 2 most commonly used saris for this dance are the Sambalpuri sari and Bomkai sari. So take it as an assignment. So go to the internet and see how these Sambalpuri sari and Bomkai saris they look at. And then come to next. Another significant tradition in the history of Odissi is the Gatipua dance. And here, young boys who were dedicated by their families to the temples or akadas, so they are being trained by acrobatics, singing and dancing. So friends, the children who are born in bad date, mainly the Mangliks, so they are being left out of families and they will perform this Gatipua dance, which is a form of Odissi. So friends, Gatipuas are very similar to Agoris. So they are also the children who are born in bad dates and they are left in Varanasi so that they will not go back to their families. Then coming back to Odissi dance, so this consists of various body postures like the Chakua, then Tribanga, then half-seated pose and others. So all these postures are also related to Bharatanatyam, but however Odissi also consists of some postures which are sinuous, so that means which requires some muscularity, and also it involves elevations and jumps. So some acrobatics are also performed, and basically Odissi is predominantly a dance form for women. So here remember the Odissi and various postures and the previous form of that and the Gatipua. So if Odissi is a dance form of women, so Gatipua is performed by the boys. So remember these differences. Then come to next, the Sanji Paper Art. The craftsmen of Mathura Brindavan area make intricate paper cut designs locally known as Sanji, and they depict various Krishna Lila scenes. So here we can see the various picturesque designs made up of Sanji art, and during festivals and marriages, the craftsmen make exquisitely beautiful paper cuts, and they consist of the flowers and the chariots and others. So basically this Sanji Paper Art was born while making the paper arts of Krishna Lila, and now other decorative forms are also being included. And then the paper mache in Kashmir. The tradition of paper mache in Kashmir began in the 15th century. So it began very lately, and the craftsman was originally known in Kashmir as Kar Ikalamdan, and earlier it was confined to ornamentation of cases and then used for keeping pens as well as some other small personal articles. So here you can see one of the paper mache. Friends, we have discussed what is a paper mache. That is, if you mix all the waste paper into water and then grind it, it forms a paste. That paste is very akin to clay. You can convert that paste into any shape which you can. And here we can see one of the paper mesh, and we can keep some articles here also. And we have a lid to this as well. And then the craft was also known as Kar-i-Munakash because it was used for the ornamentation of smooth surfaces. So this is used for polishing and smoothening the surface. That's why that Munakash. So the word Munakash might mean polishing. So I don't know exactly. So it is a crude guess again. Then the Santali Soharai murals. So remember the Santali tribes, the Santal rebellion again, which is given in NCERT. So Santali women usually paint the walls of their houses to mark Soharai, a harvest festival coinciding with Diwali or Kali Puja. And Santali Soharai murals vary across regions, prominently featuring geometric patterns. So various geometric shapes are being painted. So here we can see one woman doing these murals. And then the prominence given to the geometry in the murals can be linked with the Santal community's affinity to symmetrical precision in its architecture. So whatever Santal people built, either it is an art or a painting or an architecture, so it all involves a symmetric geometrical patterns. So similarly, here also we have so many geometrical patterns being used. And then in 2020, Jharkhand received a geographical indication tag for this Sohrai art. But however, this geographical indication tag was not given to the Santali Sohrai murals. So it was given to the women in Hazaribagh district, and these women do not belong to Santal tribe. And the art of these women is significantly different from the Santali tribe's murals. So there was a bit controversy regarding this geographical indication tag given, but however, our duty is to remember the Santali Sohrai murals and the women of Hazaribagh both equally. Then Kanchot festival. Kanchot festival is a symbol of ancient Nag culture. Friends, Nag culture is not the people of Nagaland here. So the people living in the Chenab Valley and the surrounding areas, so their culture is called the ancient Nag culture. And then the age-old festival is celebrated by Hindus, mainly the Nag followers, who believe that on this day the Gauri Trishya, that is Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati married, and they decided that the throne of snow will be their wedding gift. And Kanchot or Gauri Trishya, the festival is celebrated every year during the Shukla Paksha of Magh month, that is in January or February it is present. So remember Magh, that means Pushya, Magh, Palguna. So all these 3 months, so they will come around the January, February months of the Gregorian calendar. So friends, this is how the critical observation you have to do. When you start linking your concepts, your memory will be enhanced. Then come to next, Bhaga Nacha. So the name itself says the Bhaga Nacha means the tiger dance. So Bhaga Nacha or tiger dance is performed in Binka, Sonepur and Subarnapur and even in Ganjam district of Odisha, and it is performed in the month of Chaitra. So Chaitra means it is the very first month, and in this the male dancers paint themselves as tiger, and thus it is called Bhaga Nacha. So again for us, the place where it is done and the time when it is done. So that is more than sufficient, and it is also easy to remember the word Bhaga Nacha. Then come to next, the Namda craft. Namda craft is a rug made of sheep wool through felting technique instead of the normal weaving process. Friends, felting means it is pressing the layer over layers, and the weaving means intertwining of threads. And this originated in the 11th century when Akbar ordered a suitable coverage for his horse. So basically it was made as a covering cloth for horses. Then the felted carpets are predominantly made of pure sheep wool, and Namda is usually a sandwich of many layers of wool flattened over each other. And after a layer is spread, it is sprinkled homogeneously with water and pressed with a tool known as pinjra. And the layer after layer it is pressed, and this is how the Namda craft is made. Friends, even now that woolen rug, whatever we have, so that is the pressed one, not the weaved one. So remember Namda craft here. Then the Dhokra art. So Dhokra, also spelled as Dhokra, is a non-ferrous metal casting using the lost wax technique. So lost wax technique means, so first we will be having the wax, and as and when we pour the heated metal, so that will melt this wax, and this liquid metal will take the shape of the wax which gets melted. And this sort of metal casting has been used in India over 4,000 years, and still it is used by various people, mainly blacksmiths. And one of the earliest known lost wax artifact is the dancing girl of Mohenjo-daro. So we remember this. Then Adilabad Dhokra, an ancient metal craft, is popular in Telangana's tribal region. So here we can see how the Dhokra art is made. And then the uniqueness of this art form is that no two sculptures are the same, as they are not made up of a pre-designed cast. So it is not pre-designed one. So every shape it is designed on the spot, and after that the metal is obtained. And the craftsmen of this art belong to the Oj community, commonly referred to as the Ojaris or Ojas in rural areas of Telangana. So remember, this Ojas is not the OJHEs of North India. Then Adilabad Dhokra has been granted the geographical indication tag. So this is a geographical indication tag of Telangana state. So this is all about today. Then come to the last part, friends. So we have seen so many art forms, we have seen so many crafts, etc. So as and when we see, we look into the diversity of India, we look into the cultural magnificence of India, but at the same time, we should look into the lives of thousands of people who are indulged in that. So currently all these cultures are being receding. So it is being imploding. So it is the duty of every citizen of India to make sure that these people will get a better life. And this we do by using those products as and much possible. So at least in the future, we will make sure that all these people will get back their lives which they had lived some centuries ago. So let their business flourish again and bring back that India which was a golden sparrow. So all the very best. Good luck, friends.